What is going on, everybody? Hope you can hear me okay. Hope your night is going well so far. My name is Dan. I am the UltraDad. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can, please definitely let me know. Can you hear me? Can you not? That's the question tonight. And it's going to be a great time. I cannot wait to spend some time with you guys. It has been far, far too long. I'm going to first start out, though, before I get into all this. We've got Evan from Idaho. Oh, my goodness. Idaho. That is one of my favorite states in the United States. I love Idaho, Evan. I don't know if you just heard that. It's a very busy night around here, guys. We got all kinds of stuff going on upstairs. Lots of cooking, baking. So if you hear anything, let me know. But Evan, Idaho is the place to be, man. I want to hear more about it. We're going to talk about Idaho for sure tonight. Cheryl, what's up, Cheryl Gayhart from Alabama? How's it going? 68 degrees, Cheryl? That is amazing. Man, I wish it was 68 here, but it was probably a balmy 55, but still, I'll take it. If you watched my video from a couple nights ago, it has definitely been very cold around here. I think it's been cold down where you are, too, even in Alabama. But thankfully, we've got now a bit of a heat wave, if you can call it that. Good. You can hear me fine. That's good to know. Cheryl, thank you for letting me know. You never know with these live streams, with the software that I use, whether it's going to pick me up or not. So let's see. We got Mike from Lexington, Kentucky. I'm actually, a little known fact, UltraDad I was born in Kentucky. So I am technically a Kentuckian. I now reside in Ohio, but Kentucky is where I was born. So born right in just across the river. So some of you in Kentucky may not count that part of Kentucky as real Kentucky, but I was born in Covington, Kentucky. So there at St. Elizabeth Hospital, just south of the border there. So who else we got? If you have not put a comment down below, let me know where you are listening to from or watching me from. Let me know what you're up to. Are you just watching TV? Are you watching your phone? I'm always curious about that. My brother, he watches my videos while he's on the treadmill. So, you know, that's a big ask though. Your own brother. I mean, a lot of brothers wouldn't watch their brothers on YouTube, but he does. And he likes to do it from the treadmill. So anyway, what is going on, everybody? Hopefully you are doing well out there in the Ethernet or internet land out there. I am Dan the UltraDad. If you have never watched my channel, I have to think that the 8 people watching probably do watch my channel. As you all know, I like ultra running. I love trail running. That's why I created my channel. Actually, I started my channel about 4 or 5 years ago. And at first it was purely just for my family. So I thought no one would ever watch this channel except for my own family. So I would usually just bring it on vacations, things like that. I got into running, started running a lot, and started bringing my GoPro with me, and the rest is history. Then I started really enjoying making videos, and apparently a few people like watching them as well. But, I have a lot to learn. Both in running, in life, and also with YouTube and videos. So it just amazes me that you guys like to watch my content, and I'm shocked that people do, but I really enjoy it. So I'm glad you do too. So it's still Kentucky, Mike? Okay. All right. That's good to know. I mean, I've had some people say, when I say I was born right across the river, they've said, oh, no, that's not really Kentucky. That's still Cincinnati. So, I mean, obviously, technically it's Kentucky, but that's what I'm from Kentucky. So, however, I went to college at Miami University, which is of Ohio, which is just north of the border, just south of Dayton, north of Cincinnati. And so that's kind of where I laid down my roots after college. So I'm in Middletown, Ohio, technically. And anyway, enough of that. Really good to see you, Mike. See you, Cheryl. Evan, let's talk about Idaho. All right, let's talk a little bit about, I love talking about the mountains and about the western states. So I mean, the Western States 100 is great too, but I'm just talking about the states out west. Mountainous trail running is my absolute passion. I love being in the mountains. Um, Obviously, I try to get out there as much as I can. I got out to Utah this summer. I'm sure if you haven't seen my video from the Wasatch 100, Evan, definitely check it out. But man, I love getting out west, and that's one of the things we're gonna talk about tonight. Is what can I do next summer to fulfill my Western craving that I always seem to have in the summertime. So if you've seen my video recently about my top 5 ultras, it's definitely something that I always have in mind. And one of those was the Never Summer 100K, which is just outside Gould, Colorado. I believe it's kind of north. And if anyone from Colorado happens to be listening, let me know. But I think Gould, Colorado is kind of between the Medicine Bow Mountains and Rocky Mountain National Park. It's in a forest called State Forest, I believe, and it has a great reputation. It seems like everybody wants to run this race, and so that is definitely one that I'm looking at. What is up, Will? Thank you for joining us. Always appreciate the content for long stair stepper mornings. Very good. Very good. Yes, I was actually talking about you a few minutes ago before you joined in, about how you like to run on the treadmill and watch my videos. So, Evan, yeah, let's hear what you have to say here. Yes, Evan says, yes, I'm in northern Idaho, about 30 miles from Canada. Come run Dig Your Grave with me, a small mountain marathon. That sounds awesome. Dig Your Grave. It sounds brutal, man. But that's what we're about, We love to test ourselves. Dig Your Grave. So it's a marathon. It's 26.2. I'd love to know. Mention that down below. I will tell you the one race in Idaho that has been on my radar and I almost ran last year was the Beaverhead 100K. That is the race. If you follow Ultra Trail Steven, he ran that race last year with his friend. I almost went out there with him. In fact, I had registered for it, and then unfortunately, I had to withdraw my registration. I'm trying to remember. It's because my son had a lacrosse tournament, and so I had to change my plans. But man, I definitely missed out. That looked like an epic race up there in Idaho. So, Evan, I don't know if you're familiar with that race, but it's a little bit, I think it's quite a bit south of it's very much further south than where you live. Evan, do you live near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho? I'm pretty sure that's pretty far north in Idaho. Unfortunately, my ignorance about Idaho geography is coming out, but I think Coeur d'Alene's pretty far up north. And then the secondary question for you, Evan, is how much snow do you get every year? And right now, as we speak, how much snow is on the ground? I'm going to say if we had to do an over-under, it's probably over a foot of snow on the ground right now where you live in Idaho, if you're truly 30 miles away from the Canadian border. So let me know, but it sounds like an amazing place to live. Honestly, my wife and I have thought about it. We've thought about moving out there sometime in the future. Idaho, it just looks absolutely amazing. Wyoming looks great. Of course, Colorado, Utah look great too. But Idaho seems to be one of the most remote places you can find. So, yes, north of that, about 60 miles. Okay. And he says about 42-ish K. 5,000 feet of elevation gain the first 2 to 3 miles, then kind of flat along the mountain ridges, then back down. Okay. All right. And what about the snow? I want to know, is it over or under a foot right now on the ground in Idaho where you live? Like I said, I think it's probably over a foot, maybe right about that. So anyway, let's get into some of the stuff that I was going to talk about tonight. So, it's gonna be kind of a mix of topics. And if you have any questions as we go, definitely hit me up in the comments below. I'll definitely be happy to answer, kind of go whatever direction you want to. All right, let's get back to Evan real quick. We live in a valley, so we have about 1.5 feet of snow right now. We had about 3 feet last week, but a lot of rain the first couple of days this week. Oh my goodness. 1.5 feet? I was gonna say maybe like 13 inches. And honestly, I think that was kind of a bit of a stretch, but wow, that's amazing. See, here in Ohio, we're lucky if we even get one snow that's over 8 inches during the year. If we get really lucky, we might have a couple 8 to 10 inch snows a year. That's it. And it almost always melts within a few days of when it comes down. Maybe it'll stick around for a week or two. On a really cold winter, 3 weeks maybe, but it's not like up where you live where the snow sticks around all winter. So I'm curious, Evan, do you do cross-country skiing or skimo? Both of those activities sound like things I would really enjoy doing, and it sounds like the kind of place that you would do that kind of thing. So anyway, let's get back into where I was going to go with this, and that is I have a few notes down here, of course. So as I was talking about earlier, I released a video maybe about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, about my top 5 ultra marathons for 2023. And those top 5 ultra marathons were the Mohican 100, the Burning River 100. Those are both Western states qualifying 100-mile events in Ohio. I think they're the only 2 100-milers that are Western states qualifiers in Ohio. And then the Cruel Jewel 50-miler or 100-miler, and then the Fat Dog 120, and the Pikes Peak. I'm sorry, I just gave away something. The Fat Dog 120, and then the Never Summer 100K, which I just mentioned a few minutes ago in Colorado. Now, back to Pikes Peak. There was one that I forgot to mention, and it's definitely one that I'm considering and curious about, and that is the Pikes Peak Marathon or Ascent, one of those two. I watch, I watch a bunch of different videos on YouTube, and that sounds like a really great race. And something, Seth James Damore has run that race a number of times, and it's always fun to see people run that race. I have actually hiked Pikes Peak right after high school. Fun fact, I went out to Colorado for a 2-week camping trip with a couple high school buddies of mine. So this is now, 24 years ago. Let's be honest, 24 years ago. And we went to Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we hiked Pikes Peak. It took about it was 13 miles, the bar trail. It's about 13 miles, about a half marathon. And it took us about 7 hours to get to the top. Now, we were mostly hiking. We weren't running. But that was an amazing experience. At that time, when I was the ripe old age of 18, I thought, well, I'll get back within a few weeks, a couple years, I'll come back and do this again. I have not done it. Now, I have gone out to Colorado to ski at least 3 times since then, but I have never gone back to Pikes Peak to hike the bar trail or run it, and I think the Pikes Peak Marathon would be a lot of fun. Another friend of mine, Ultra Trail Steven, if you watch his videos, he now lives out in Colorado Springs, so that may be a good opportunity. I might be able to crash his family's party out there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe even find, maybe in his garage I can sleep or something like that. So, Ultra Trail Steven, if you're watching this at any point in the future, I don't mean to invite myself over, but I would love to hang out again. We had a great time down the Smoky Mountains this past summer. So let's see. We got a couple comments here. Mike is going to be running the Burning River. Evan, some great comments there about snowing, about snow and Idaho weather, man. I love it. Mike, let's talk about the Burning River 100. So as you know, if you've watched my channel, I have been running the Mohican 100, I think now for 4 years in a row. My first year, I ran the Mohican 100, was the off year. It was because of COVID. And so I think it was 2020. In the fall of 2020, they actually had the race, I believe. Was it really? Or was it 2019? 2020. And in 2020, so the fall of 2020, I believe, it's normally run in June. I finished the race. I finished it in like, I think it was 29 and a half hours. And so I ran the next year and in 2021. And that year I ran with my brother, which was awesome. And I also ran with Ryan Day from I Run on Beer and his friend Todd. And we had a great time, a great time running that race. I finished that year in 2021. I almost DNF'd. It was real close, but I made it through, thanks to my brother and my family for pushing me along. And then this past year, 2022, I had my third attempt. It was going to be the trifecta for me. I was the hat trick. I was going to be able to finish the third time in a row. And as you know, if you've watched that video, I DNF'd at mile 52-ish. So the Mohican 100 is definitely a race that I feel like I need some redemption at. So that's very high on my list. But the second race in Ohio that I've really wanted to run for a long time is the Burning River 100. It is up in, I think, Chagrin Falls, just south of Cleveland. Mike, you'll have to let me know, chime in any time. But it's a 100-miler. I believe it's flatter than the Mohican 100. It's a little hotter, though, because it's run in July usually, if I'm not mistaken. And so depending on the weather, it can be a fast 100-miler. But again, if it's super hot, then you're going to have trouble. So the Burning River 100 is definitely a race that I will run at some point. I don't know if it'll be 2023, but it is on my list, my top 5. Cuyahoga Falls, not Chagrin Falls. I think there is a Chagrin Falls because I have a friend who lives there. But Cuyahoga Falls, thank you, Mike, for correcting me. So both of those races are Western States qualifiers. So they're pretty awesome. The Mohican 100 definitely kind of pulls at my heartstrings because of the fact that I've run it 3 times. But it also has some vertical gain. Excuse me. By the way, I'm drinking a little mixed blend red wine right now. If you are, cheers. But the Mohican 100 has some vertical gain. It's not a ton. I think it's about 15,000 feet, but it's not as flat as the Burning River 100. All right, so the 100-milers in Ohio, the Western States qualifiers out of the way. And actually, before I move on, I should mention, unfortunately, in 2022, I failed to complete a single 100-mile race, which was very, very sad. Which meant I didn't earn any additional credit for the Western States 100. I didn't even apply this year, so I was kind of depressed about it. I still have 1 ticket, and the way it works now, you don't have to qualify every year. You can qualify different years, and then your tickets accumulate depending on what you did in a given year. So if I'm able to get a qualifier, for example, next year, which I'm going to get a qualifier in 2023, then I'll have, I think, 2 or 3 tickets, whatever it is. But it's going to take a while to get into Western States, that's for sure. What's going on, Seth? Welcome to the channel. We got Seth James Demore in the chat. Let's go, man. Hope you're doing well. What are you drinking there? Is it a beer or is that tea? That's the question. So thanks for joining. I was actually just talking about you, man, because the Pikes Peak Marathon and Ascent is definitely a race that is on my radar, of course, as well as the Never Summer 100K. I really like the idea of doing that 100K. I think let's talk about that right now because 100K, it's a distance that I feel very comfortable with. I finished many 50-milers. But the 100 milers have been rough for me. I have not finished any 100 milers besides the Mohican 100, which I finished twice. But basically, that means I have a lot to prove to myself when it comes to mountainous 100 milers. I finished the Run Rabbit Run 50 miler, and I got about 70 miles into the Fat Dog 120 up in the northern Cascade Mountains near Vancouver, Canada. So I feel pretty good about that. But the 100-mile distance is definitely has been a bit of a barrier for me as far as mountainous 100 milers. So, and all right, Seth has some tips. Okay, all right, I will. I definitely will, man. So the mountainous 100 milers definitely have been tough. If you watched my race at the Wasatch 100. Now that one, I kind of put an asterisk next to that DNF because I had COVID. So I think it's a pretty good excuse, for not finishing that race, especially since I was having some pretty major symptoms up high, and I think I made the right call to pull the plug. But it just seems like it's not bad luck. I don't know what it is, but I just can't push through that barrier. I will eventually. I'm certain of that. It's just a matter of when. The other thing is, with these 100 milers that are out west, it's kind of a destination vacation situation for me because it takes so much just to get out there. So when I go out there, like for the Wasatch 100 with my brother, we had a great time. I really enjoyed it. Even though I DNF'd, it wasn't the end of the world. Even though I had COVID, we had a great time. So finishing the race isn't necessarily my top priority when I go out west, but I do want to, and I will eventually. So, Andrew Cabral Jr. Oh, what's up, man? From Maui. Wow, that's a place I've never been to. I love a good beach. Most of my beach going is down in Florida, but Hawaii, man. My wife wants to do our 20-year anniversary in Hawaii. So I definitely have to start planning for that. We just had our 18th. So I got like just under 2 years to plan that. So, all right. So like I said, there are a couple different options for ultras for the 100 milers. It's not all 100 milers. 100K would be fine. So it's kind of a mixed bag for 2023. I'm really looking forward to it. It's pretty exciting to start thinking about it, start planning. I feel like I'm kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit because these races are going to start filling up. I did check. I was able to look before this video began at the Never Summer 100 registration. I think there's still some spots left, so that's good. I know there's spots left at the Mohican and Burning River, so we'll see. Now, those two races, so Mohican is in June, the beginning of June. That's traditionally when it is, and that's when it is this year. I think it's the week after Father's Day. And so that's an early year 100-miler. So I could definitely see myself doing, something in May or June. Maybe the Cruel Jewel. We'll get back into that in a second. And then doing something else, again, mid to late summer. So that's why Never Summer looks pretty good to me. Or the Pikes Peak Marathon or Ascent. Those might be good options as well. So, hey, Frank, what's going on? Frank Hale says, hello there. I can hear you. Checking in from Clearwater, Florida. All right, man. I'm glad you can hear me. Happy to have you, man. Clearwater, Florida. I mean, that's an awesome name, right, for a city, Clearwater. I wish I lived in Clearwater, Florida. Thanks for stopping in. Hey, Jeff, what's up? Jeff Pelletier. He says, just popping in to say hello. Happy holidays to you and your family. Thanks, Jeff. Man, I love your content. Great job on all the stuff that you're putting out, and definitely looking forward to seeing what 2023 brings for you. And that same goes for Seth James Moore too, man. I can't wait to see what you're doing too. So thanks for stopping in. And actually, Jeff, if you're still with us, one of my potential ultras that's on my top 5 list for 2023 is the Fat Dog 120. I already tried to do Fat Dog once. I DNF'd at mile 70, but it's on my list. The only concern I have with Fat Dog is it's 120 miles, all right, number one. So it's not a typical 100-miler. And it is not an easy race by any means. I mean, tons of vertical gain. If I recall, it's about 28,000 feet of accumulated vertical gain. The only good thing about Fat Dog is it's not super high. So, I think it's the the altitude maxes out around 9,000 feet. So that's good. But it is an extremely challenging race. And honestly, it was the first 100-miler I tried, which is kind of funny to think of. And it really scared me, to be honest. I went out, I was totally unprepared. I did do some training, but I went out and fell flat on my face, to be honest. I had a great time. I made a video. It was one of my first videos on this channel. So had an amazing time, but definitely was a fish out of water. And so I think if I go back to do Fat Dog again, I'm going to have to get a serious training block in. And I'm not sure 2023 is going to be my Fat Dog year, but we'll see. I did see that Gary Robbins is running it. That's pretty cool. I assume Jeff will probably be over there hanging out. Are you running it, Jeff? That's the question. That is the question. All right, so we talked about Mohican, Burning River, talked a little bit about the Never Summer 100K, the Fat Dog 120, and the Pikes Peak Marathon and Ascent. Which one do you think I should run? Or which two? I think it's going to be two on that list. I'm not exactly sure which ones. So definitely let me know what you think. Each are great options for different reasons. And, I think probably one of the Colorado races is definitely in my future for 2023, and probably one of the Ohio races. Let's talk a little bit about the Cruel Jewel 100-miler, Cruel Jewel 50. So I think in my video that I did, the top 5 ultras, the Cruel Jewel 100 is what I talked about most. I tried this race and DNF'd, of course. What was this, last year? Was it really last year? No, it was a year and a half ago. I DNF'd very embarrassingly at like 50K, at like mile 32. Man, that race was extremely difficult. The first 50K is really tough. I think if I would have pushed through, though, I would have found that it got significantly easier as I went on. But the start of that race is very, very tough. They give you, just to show you how tough this race is, they give you, I think it's 48 hours as a cutoff time to finish the race. So pretty incredible. The Cruel Jewel 100. But they do offer, and this is something I didn't mention in my video, I don't think, they offer the Cruel Jewel 50. And the Cruel Jewel 50, they start you, at least I think most years, they start you at the halfway point and you kind of run it in with the 100-milers, with the faster 100-milers. So you start, I think, about 12 hours after the 100-miler starts, and then you run in the second half of the race. And that definitely is something that I'm strongly considering. And it may even be part of my training, to be honest, ramping up as I get closer to maybe the Mohican or the Burning River. So the Cruel Jewel 50, I think if I can build confidence by finishing the 50, I think I can go back maybe in 2024 and finish the 100. So, but the Cruel Jewel 100 is crazy. Total accumulated vertical gain is just at the same level as Hard Rock. Now, of course, you're not actually, at 14,000 feet or 12,000, whatever it is up there in Hard Rock. So the altitude isn't a concern really at all. But the Cruel Jewel 100 still is gnarly, man. It's a really rough race. When I ran it a year and a half ago, I made a pretty cool video about it. Check it out. But the Cruel Jewel one, I don't know if you can hear that. Can anyone hear that upstairs? My wife is, God bless her, she's baking with my daughter, teaching her how to make some Christmas cookies kind of after Christmas. But they have this machine up there that's really loud. So I don't know if you can hear that or not. hopefully not too much. But anyway, let's get back to the comments. Let's see. Jeff says, just popping in. Yeah, he says, Fat Dog's a tough course for sure. He'll be in Europe all summer, so he'll be missing it again this year. Oh, are you going to be getting ready for what? Are you going to be getting ready for UTMB? Is that why you're going to be out there? I'd love to know more about that, Jeff. And my brother says, Fat Dog's on my futures list. Cruel Jewel sounds tough too. Will, maybe I can get you to come down and run the Cruel Jewel 50 with me in May. That would be awesome. And maybe Cheryl will be down there too. She says she's crew chief for her friend in 2023, and it's supposed to be an awesome race. We're already starting their planning. So that's awesome, Cheryl. It would be really cool to meet you. Thank you very much for all your support over the years with the channel. Oh, Jacob, you can't hear him? Okay. Well, I guess that's credit to this mic. I do like this Shure MV7. It's a nice mic. So that's pretty amazing because it's kind of loud. I mean, I hear everything up there. So that's good to hear. All right, so let's talk a little bit about training. It's almost New Year's. So it's time to start thinking and planning about what we're going to do to get ready for our races next summer in the spring. Training for me is always a challenge, and I get some hate mail on my videos sometimes from viewers because my volume is really bad. I don't get nearly enough volume, and then I jump into these giant 100-mile races thinking that everything's going to be okay. And it's not always okay. Training for a 100-miler, training for 100K, to me, are really different animals. For the past 3 or 4 years, I've traditionally run at least 2 50-milers in the summer, and usually one that I kind of make up, and then another that is a local race that we have. It's called the Doggone Long Run 50-miler. And so that's good training for me. And then I also will do a handful of 50Ks, which I think is great training as well for getting ready for a 100-miler. So I do those races, but my consistency is my issue. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know that it's just tough with work, with everything going on around me in life. With YouTube, I like to make videos, so there's just only so much time that I have. And so getting in consistent mileage during the week is very difficult with work. A little easier when the sun, is shining longer and the days are longer. So, that makes it a little bit easier. But it is difficult. So that's always been my challenge, is keeping it consistent during the week, and then on the weekends getting a solid long run in. And it's always going to be a struggle for me, just because of the lack of time. But there's no question in my mind that my likelihood of success with finishing a 100-miler is pretty closely linked to consistent volume. So, that's not really even a question. We know that to be true. The only question is, how am I going to get that done? So I'm never going to be super high volume. I just can't. I just don't have the time. But consistency is something I need to really work on. And I'd love to hear about any ideas that you have down there in the comments below. One of the things that I've thought about is, do I need a coach? Should I consider getting a coach? Number one, I don't really want to spend money on a coach. I know that sounds, I don't know, like I don't care, but it's just true. I'm a little bit cheap like that. And number two, I don't really know who to seek out for coaching. I do have a couple friends who've recommended coaches, and so maybe I need to look into that. I do need accountability, though. There's no question about that. I need accountability. So things that I'm thinking about, and I got to do something if I want to finish these races. My brother is pretty good at accountability. He'll go down to Mohican and finish the race in style, and doesn't really train. I mean, he does train a good amount, but not a whole lot. He does train more than me. I don't know, Will. You're listening in. Maybe he trains more than me. He's better trained, that's for sure. But he keeps me accountable. So, man, this past year when we ran Mohican, he was cruising that last lap. It's 4 marathon laps. I quit after 2, and his 4th lap, he actually sped up. I think that was his fastest lap. So definitely accountable, keeps me accountable. And it is nice to run with him too. I love running with my brother. So, all right, Jacob, what are you saying here? Oh, wait, let's go back to Jeff real quick. Still working on my race schedule, but my season will be starting with a stay in the Lake District to prepare for and run the Bob Graham round. Wow, man, the Bob Graham round. That's epic. That is awesome. I can't wait to see your content from that. Man, well, enjoy that. I can't wait to watch. Jacob says, I did my first ultra this year, missed the cutoff, plan on doing it again. Got to get the full finish. Absolutely, man. I will say this, there's nothing that compares to finishing like a 100-miler. Or, whatever if you haven't finished a 50K or 50-miler, whenever you break the barrier and move on to that next distance, there's nothing that compares to the feeling of doing that. There's a few other things, like when I got married, when I had kids, obviously those are a different level of importance. And but finishing an ultra marathon is no joke. I remember when I finished both of my 100-milers at the Mohican. It's an emotional experience. Part of it is you're so tired and you're exhausted, fatigued, and so your emotions are definitely right on your sleeve and at the surface, bubbling up. But man, what an experience those were. But for me, what takes the cake is the year that I finished Mohican when my family was there. Everybody was there. So this was not this past year, but 2021. It was the best feeling in the world. So definitely keep training and keep your sights set on that, man. You will do it, and just enjoy it when you do. Let's see. Let's continue on with training. So and back to volume, I guess. What would be a good volume? Like, do I need to be in the 60 and 70 mile range? Whenever I've done a plan, it seems like it always changes and I'm never able to completely stick to it. But 60, 70 miles seems to be kind of the peak of my training block, getting ready for even a 100-miler. I think some people would say that's, I'm not training, don't get me wrong. I'm not training to win these races. I'm not even training to place in the top 10 in these races. I'm just training to finish these races. So 60, 70 miles, that's a lot of mileage for me on a week in, week out basis. And I don't think that that's too low. But there are some that would say it needs to be higher than that. Can it be any lower than 60? I don't think so. And that's something that I need to really, think about, because that's a tough mileage to get to, no doubt, 50, 60 miles. But I think you have to do it. You have to get at least that many at your peak training during your training block. And I've actually been able to get to that point. It's holding that mileage for 2 or 3 weeks that's difficult for me. So, and I think that's probably something I need to really keep in mind for this year. So, Brother Will says, you have to find the why. It's always changing for me right now. I look forward to the hot tub after a workout from Mohican. The why is always the sun rising and the finish line with the family there. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. That's always that, like I said, no greater feeling in the world when all of your loved ones are around at the end of a race, and an accomplishment like that. It is so exciting and so much fun. Seth James Demore says, I definitely recommend ascent over marathon for your first time. 12,000 plus feet is rough when you're just arriving from the lower elevations. Use it as a training run adaptation period for other Colorado races. That's good advice, Seth. You know me though, I'm kind of stupid. I always get into to more than I should probably. With Wasatch, it's not as high as Colorado, that's for sure, but that was pretty significant elevation. And I went, we flew in like a day before the race, and went right into it. And I did pretty good. I made it 40 miles with COVID. Hey, that's not terrible. And other than the upper respiratory issues I was having with the COVID, I felt like I was doing pretty well. But you're right. Good point. I mean, we're talking Pikes Peak, 14,000 feet. That's a whole nother level. And before you joined the video, I was talking about how I've actually hiked Pikes Peak. I hiked it back 24 years ago, right after high school, with some buddies of mine. We went for a 2-week camping trip in Colorado. And one of the things we did, one of the feature activities we had, was we stayed in Colorado Springs and we hiked Pikes Peak. It did take 7 hours. So, not the 2 hours that you run it up, your ascent record is. So, it's pretty crazy to think that it took me 7 hours at the age of 18, and it took you just over 2 hours to get up to that mountain. That's crazy. But I love being high like that. It's a lot of fun being up in the mountains, and those 14ers are amazing. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit. We're talking about volume. 60 miles. Yeah, I think that might be a good goal. I think part of my problem last year was I was coaching track at my kids' school at their junior high. And because I was coaching track, I was mostly, I was going to the track practices. I was helping them run, so I wasn't getting much volume. I did throw in some speed workouts that I would do with them because, they're focused on, in junior high, they don't go more than a mile. So even in high school, it's only 2 miles. So 1 mile, we did a lot of speed work. And so what I found myself doing was, unfortunately, spending a lot of time doing that as well. And that definitely, I think, hurt me for the Mohican 100. I don't think I was as prepared as I could have been if I really had solid miles and long runs on the weekends coming up to the Mohican 100. So actually, Seth, if you're still watching, what we really need is to get you out east, and see how you would do in an ultra marathon like the Mohican or Burning River, a flattish 100 miler out here. You probably win that race, I would think. So you should come out and do it. It'd be fun. So anyway, I did a bunch of speed work going up to, the spring and early summer last year. But this year, I don't think I'll be coaching, so that I know of yet. If anything, I'll be kind of volunteering. I'm hoping I at least get to volunteer a little bit. But I won't have the constraints that I did before. So I should be able to get better efforts in as I ramp up for that late spring, early summer ultra marathon. So whether that be, we don't know, Mohican, Cruel Jewel, we'll see. I could try the Cruel Jewel 100 again. Oh man, that was such a tough race. That's a frightening race. Ryan Clayton ran the year, the same time I did, and he finished in, I think, 39 hours, something like, maybe it was 42 hours. I don't know. But, that was amazing to finish that race. For me, though, that's frightening, man. Like, I only made it 32 miles. What am I doing? That was frustrating. Marlon Weekly. What's up, Marlon? Thanks for joining. He says Pikes Peak Marathon this September. Looking forward to seeing Seth blow by on his way down and mine up again. Marlon, that's awesome. So you'll be there, man. So if you're there, Seth's probably going to be there one way or another. I'm sure Seth's going to run that race. He's gonna run the Pikes Peak Marathon, right? That's my guess. I don't know anything, but that would be awesome to watch. He'll be there. I'm sure, Seth, you'll be there at least to spectate, right? We'll see. But that could be a lot of fun. That could be a great time. Seth says 50K in February. Dipping my toes back in. Oh, yeah. I will say, man, that one race where you fell at the end of that 50K, what was the name? What was it? I'm blanking on the name of that race. That was amazing. Like, that was the coolest 50K finish I think I've ever seen on video. That was amazing. But it must have been extremely painful at the same time. Meredith Jones, collab with Seth for Pikes Peak. Yeah, man, that would be sweet. That would be cool. Maybe a little. No, I don't know if I'm not sure if I really advertised this or not last year, but I almost went out to Hard Rock. I think I made a video on that, maybe several. But I almost went to Hard Rock. My family and I were going to go camping. We had these grand and glorious plans to take our camper out there for 2 weeks, and then I had a complete shift in my job. So I moved on to a different position, and everything changed. I didn't have as much vacation. So that was kind of a bummer. But part of the plan was I was going to go out and watch Hard Rock, do some filming. Jeff was going to be there, Jeff Pelletier, and he was there. But we were going to spend some time in Breckenridge. We were going to go down to Denver. The plan was to say hi to Seth, of course, and then I was going to end up in Colorado Springs and hike Pikes Peak, or run Pikes Peak if I could. So all of those plans went out the window, unfortunately. And this coming year, if I go out, it won't be for weeks at a time. But I think I can probably swing like a long weekend, something like that. So, yeah, Dirty 30. That's right, the Dirty 30. I actually looked at signing up for that race at some point too, but that sounds like an awesome race. I wonder if are they still doing that race? I don't know. Options. There's lots of options out there. So definitely, if you have any questions, comments below. Don't forget to put them down there. I'd be happy to answer anything. Wow. We've been going close to 50 minutes now, so things are going well. A little more wine. So let's talk a little bit about gear. I love gear. I love actually let's pivot just for a second. Let's talk about YouTube. So while I have you, I'm curious, what do you watch my channel for? I really want my channel to grow, and I enjoy making content, creating content. But my question is, do you like to watch my runs, or do you like to watch me talk like this, like talking head type videos? I usually mix it in, so I almost always, as you know, if you watch my videos, I started out with a running portion, and then I have some topic that I talk about. But like it's hard to know what people really are watching my videos for. So if you're watching right now, hit me up down below. Let me know, what do you watch my channel for? Is it primarily for the running videos, for race videos? Is it for talking head, random topics about ultra marathons? What do you watch my channel for? What do you get out of it? I'd love to know. And I'd like to talk about it for a few minutes. So let's see. Marlon says, I'll be at the Leadville Marathon in June too. Good Pikes Peak Marathon race. Absolutely. I didn't know there was a Leadville Marathon. Huh. I knew there's a Leadville, there's like a series that leads up to Leadville, and there's like a 50K, right? Silver Rush, is that what it is? Or Silver Thorn? What's the name of that one? I don't know. But it definitely looks like a pretty cool series of races that leads up to Leadville. Leadville would be great. Although, sorry, I don't know if you heard that. I bumped my mic. Leadville just doesn't seem as cool to me as some of the other 100-milers. I don't know. I don't know why. It's probably just as cool as the rest in Colorado. So maybe maybe I'm just misinformed, and I don't live out there, so I just don't know. Obviously, it's a classic race. There's no question about that. All right, let's see. Will says, haha, no, just kidding. Oh, he's required to watch. I get it. You're not required to watch, man. You know that? No, he watches it for the talking head and with honest struggles. Okay. That's interesting. Evan says, I started watching because of the name UltraDad, so I love the tips that you have for balancing family with running. Cool. The Silver Rush 50, Marlon. Right. Okay. Cheryl says, likes the combo of runs and talking about the runs. I like your candid, real world style from someone like me who works and running is my hobby. Yeah, that is true. I have gotten feedback like that people think that I guess they like the real world perspective. I think sometimes people do get a little tired of watching like professional runners, and I think they can be extremely motivating and inspirational. But I think they like to hear from kind of the average Joe's perspective, and I definitely bring that. so, um, so I think that that's a good thing. To me, though, it seems kind of boring. So I definitely want to keep it fresh, and that's what I guess I'm looking for, is trying to keep things fresh, trying to bring in new people to watch my content. So yeah, if you have any ideas, let me know. Relatable dude. That's great, Seth. That's cool. Well, glad you think so. Meredith says, I appreciate the content from other parents who have to make training work while having a family. Oh man, Meredith. I mean, seriously, that's rough. Like, so let's get real. That's where the difficulty lies for me is, how, especially last year was rough with coaching. Like, how do I coach track, go to work, coach track? I'm like literally leaving work early to go coach, trying to, work the work hours in earlier in the day. I leave to go coach, and then, I'm driving my daughter home, and then we have dinner, and then, basically, like, there's no time. There's just no time. If I was doing a YouTube video, I could do that, but time is so difficult. It's such a premium when you have kids, when you work full time, and I mean, Seth can probably speak to that. For several years, right, Seth? You worked and you invested a lot of time into YouTube, and then of course you were training really hard too. So, and that's tough. And I know my brother can relate to that because he's a nurse practitioner. I hope I didn't just out you, but he's a nurse practitioner, so he has patients and he has a very busy schedule during the day. He has 2 very young boys at home. And of course his wife. And so, I mean, trying to pack all of that into a day or a week or a training block is really, really challenging. So Mike Anderson says, combination of discussion and running, especially the race videos. For lack of a better term, you're a regular dude just like myself. Yeah, I'm definitely a regular dude. Nothing special here. So, yeah, I mean, we live our lives and we just try to do the best we can, and that's what I do. And you may have noticed that I had my videos slowed down a little bit over the past 2-3 months. That had a lot to do with my new job, but I'm trying to ramp it back up. I'm trying to find kind of a happy medium. I could never do what Seth does, like a daily vlog. I just don't think I could swing it. But I think I can definitely get back into 2 to 3 a week. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So these live streams are pretty awesome. I like live streams. I like, having to think quickly on my feet and just kind of share and I guess talk to myself endlessly. But I enjoy hanging out with you guys and answering questions, and it's a lot of fun. So maybe I do this once a week and do another couple videos on top of that. I'm not sure. Let's see. Jose Alvarez says, you're the best running channel out there. Oh, thanks, Jose. That's awfully kind. I also work with kids and sometimes struggle to fit in running. Always love your vids. By the way, what are your thoughts on diet for ultra running? Well, first of all, again, that's extremely kind to say that, Jose. Thanks a lot. That's encouraging. But what are my thoughts on dieting for ultra running? So that's actually a huge weakness of mine, is diet. I was kind of born. I was born pretty lucky, as far as, I guess, blessed as far as my genes and just I was always basically a skinny, lanky kid. So I could eat whatever I wanted, and it really didn't affect me. I didn't gain tons of weight or anything like that. So in that sense, I'm really, really blessed. But that was up until now. Now I'm noticing, I'm 42 years old and things are starting to take a turn for the worst. Maybe not quite that bad, but yeah, it's certainly a concern now. Like, it's easier to gain weight now. So I need to get serious about my diet. Maybe that's something I should do. Maybe that's an angle I could take with my channel, but, my wife would laugh at me if she heard me say that too. She would actually absolutely bust out laughing because literally I snack a ton. Like, I'm terrible. I don't have a huge sweet tooth, but I snack a lot. Salty foods are my favorite. So, that's a huge challenge for me. And Jose, it's something I need to work on. I mean, I need to get back to the basics with my diet, with being healthy. So, and I think the temptation for ultra runners is kind of over rely on the fact that we're burning so many calories with our training that we kind of just, we turn into a garbage disposal. We put all this junk in and we don't think about how that could impact our overall health because we're burning calories so fast that it's not causing us to gain a lot of weight. But I think in the end, it's going to have some negative consequences. So certainly something that I need to be considering. Not sure I have a lot of good advice, though, on that yet. Cheryl says, sometime during a challenging week where I couldn't get all my runs done, watching a running video helps keep me motivated. Thanks for the motivation. Thanks, Cheryl. That means a lot. I'm glad I can be of some entertainment and motivation. You guys keep me motivated, though. Honestly, it is very motivating to know that some people watch my videos and I want to live the right way and I want to pursue my dreams. I want to see what I can do. I always love testing myself. So, Mountain Man, good to see you, Dan. Happy New Year. Tons of races this year, but the Umstead 100 and Grindstone 100 are my biggest goals. Grindstone 100. Umstead I've heard of course. First of all, Mountain Man has a nice YouTube channel. Go check out his channel. So give him a shout out here. But Mountain Man, and you were fast too. You finished. How quickly did you finish your last 100-miler? If I recall, it's pretty quick. I could be wrong, but you're definitely faster than me. So let's talk Grindstone. Grindstone, I almost ran that race, but again, COVID struck again, man. This was, what was it? Obviously not this past August, but so it's been about a year, just over a year and a couple months since I was registered. I was going to go run Grindstone, and unfortunately I got COVID. And I literally didn't know it until the week of the race. I started to feel sick, and I tested, and sure enough, I was positive. And so I wasn't going to go race. It was so frustrating, man. Because the Grindstone 100 is one of those I put that up on the level of the Cruel Jewel 100. I think Cruel Jewel, from what I know, is more difficult than the Grindstone 100, but Cruel Jewel may be the most difficult 100-miler on the East Coast, the Cruel Jewel 100. But Grindstone is no joke. It's also a Hard Rock 100 qualifier, and it is very, very challenging. So I've had several friends run it, and they've told me that. So definitely a race I think I want to go back to, but it's probably lesser of a priority for me than going back to Cruel Jewel. I feel like I need to get some redemption down at Cruel Jewel. So whether that just be the 50 or the 100, I don't know. Derek Scheidt, Grindstone was added to the UTMB World Series. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's really cool. They ought to add, going back again, they ought to add Cruel Jewel, man. Name me a more difficult 100-miler on the East Coast than the Cruel Jewel 100. I'd put the Cruel Jewel 100 up there with probably a handful of West Coast 100-milers. I mean, the CJ100 is really, really difficult. So Jose says, got to go send the kids off to bed. Nighttime routine. Happy New Year, Dan, to you and the family. Thanks again for the awesome videos. Here's to a great 2023. Thank you so much, Jose. I hope you have a great evening, and Happy New Year's to you as well. So let's talk a little bit about gear. I'll basically stay on here as long as people want to listen and want to chat. So, but let's talk about gear. So I'm kind of a gearhead. Like, I like gear, but I don't like spending tons of money. So that puts me in an awkward position when it comes to running gear, because running gear is not cheap. But let's talk about kind of tech gear. So I've been running, I do love a good running watch, a good sports watch. Right now I am using the Garmin Fenix 6 Pro. It's getting a little bit old because now they're up to the Fenix 7. They've got the Epics. They've got all kinds of good options now. But the Fenix 6 Pro still does a great job. The only big weakness that it has is the smart features. I am also an Apple fanboy, I guess you could say. I like my iPhone quite a bit. And so having a good smartwatch like an iWatch or an Apple Watch is a good thing for me. Now, I haven't had an Apple Watch for several years, but the Apple Watch Ultra definitely got my attention, just a couple months ago, or maybe it was sometime this summer. Certainly a watch that looks interesting, but it is so darn expensive. That's the only thing about the Apple Watch Ultra. So I don't know. It does. Maybe one of you does anyone out there have an Apple Watch Ultra? Do you like it? Is it worth it? I don't know. I've owned a couple different Apple Watches over the years. My main thought right now is the Apple Watch SE might be a better option. It's only $250, which, if you asked me like 10 years ago how much I would spend on a watch, $250 would be really, really expensive. But now, of course, it's totally different, because my Apple Watch or my Garmin Fenix 6 Pro was probably $800. But do I want to spend $250 on an SE, or do I want to spend $800 on an Apple Watch Ultra? That's, I think, kind of where I was at. I almost bought the SE for Christmas. I ended up not doing it, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about. The Apple Watch Ultra, and if you're getting bored with this, let me know, but the Apple Watch Ultra, the only thing I have against it is it doesn't have native mapping on the watch, which to me, if you're going to spend $800 on, an advanced super watch, basically, the best watch that Apple has to offer, and it has Ultra in it, you better have some maps on that watch. And I know there's some apps that you can download. Work Outdoors, I think, is the name of it. You can download it, and it has decent maps. But why don't they have that? Like, the Garmin Fenix 6 Pro, which is an older model, has amazing mapping. But Apple can't keep up with that. It's almost like Apple kind of didn't get the memo on what ultra means, what ultra running means. Maybe they didn't want to really appeal to the ultra runners out there. I don't know. Maybe the word ultra has nothing to do with it, but it does. Because if you look at all the ads, it shows the guy climbing Mount Everest with it on. It shows them diving, of course, down in the ocean. So, and they have runners, I think, in the ads. But I think they kind of missed the boat on that, and they didn't realize what a negative thing that would be for the watch. So, oh wow, look, I mentioned tech and Apple, and we have 17 people watching now. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. That's the other thing. I've thought about reviewing more tech on my channel. But man, it is so, I don't think I have the technical knowledge to really do it well. And I also, I can give it my perspective. There's no question about that. But man, I don't really feel like I can compete with Dave Dillon, my friend Dave from Chase the Summit, or of course Des Fit, or DJ Rainmaker. Yeah. I don't think I can really compete with those guys as far as how in depth they go. But maybe I offer some perspective on that. I don't know. Mountain Man says, oh yeah, Cruel Jewel. Yeah, we already talked about that. Mountain Man says, packing for a 50K tomorrow. So I'll listen and stick around while I'm doing that. I have the Phoenix 6X and recently got the Apple Watch Ultra. All right. Tell me about the Apple Watch Ultra. Did a video comparing the two. The AWU did great. Wore them both for a 40 miler. Took 745. The AWU still, the Apple Watch Ultra still had battery to spare and was more accurate. Really? Work outdoors for $6 is great, but totally agree it should be included. I try to keep my reviews casual and let people know there are more technical videos. Yeah, and I've done that before. I've done a few videos of tech, and so maybe I'll throw some in there. That's one thing I will mention, and let me know if you disagree that this is not a good idea or not, but I do think I'm going to be doing some more reviews on my channel. I used to do them a little more frequently, and when I mean frequently, I mean like maybe once every month. But I'm thinking about trying to do one every other week or one even maybe a week and just review kind of random things that I find useful with my ultra running, with my running, trail running, etc. Because I'm really shocked. I went back and looked at a couple old videos. It was like I did a video about my my Patagonia Houdini jacket, and I did one on my Salomon jacket that I have, and those get huge amounts of views. I was like shocked. I couldn't believe it. And the quality of my videos were terrible. I mean, my video quality right now is, marginal, I would say. But like 2 years ago, it was not anything to write home about at all. And people are still watching those videos. I was shocked. I just couldn't believe it. All right, Marlon says, on easy days, which I seem to be doing more of these days, I use a cheap Timex Barkley training. I love that, Marlon. I have a great running buddy named Eric. You've probably seen in some of my videos, but he does that too. He has like an old-fashioned, he did have an old-fashioned like Timex Casio watch, or Casio, one of the two, but one of the old-fashioned like stopwatches. I bent his ear, and I was able to convince him to go to try out the Coros watches. So I got him a Coros Apex, and he loved it. So he actually, I was able to kind of convince him that those were better than the old-fashioned ones. So anyway, but Eric is definitely old-fashioned in that way. He also happens to be a semi-pro Ironman finisher. So I think he finished 3 Ironmans, and he was semi-pro. Like he was almost in the top pro level Ironman runners. This was back, 10, 15 years ago. But so that's why it's so awesome. Not only is it great conversation, he's a good friend of mine, but we have a lot of fun, and he has great advice when it comes to endurance sports for sure. So Derek says, my Forerunner 935 has served me well, but it's going to get outdated soon. And battery life is not what it used to be. But man, it's tough to stomach dropping $800 on a new one. Absolutely. That's how I feel about whether I want to try to upgrade. The Forerunner is awesome, the Forerunner 935. The Phoenix 6 Pro is amazing too. I almost thought about selling it, but it's like at this point, what am I going to get? Like a couple $100? I don't know. So, and then do I really want to get the Apple Watch Ultra where I can't see, I mean, I can download the maps. I know. Okay. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm going to back off, but it's frustrating sometimes. So let's talk a little more about gear. One review I am going to be releasing soon. It's nothing crazy, nothing groundbreaking, but, there is a hat that I bought for the Wasatch 100 that I really, really enjoyed. It's by Outdoor Research. It's the Sunrunner cap, and I am going to do a little review on that. I really liked it. I have it right here, actually. Let me grab it. All right, so this is the Sunrunner cap by Outdoor Research, and it is an awesome, awesome hat. It has this little flap neck gaiter that comes with it. and I really enjoyed wearing that during the Wasatch 100. So I'm going to do a little review on that and see how it goes. And then, like I said, I might do some more of different things that I find useful with my ultra running. All right. So let's see. What else we got? Oh, Mountain Man. What's he say? He agrees it's tempting because you get a bump in views. I try to keep it to one review a month. I typically only post once a week, so 25% reviews. Typically get 100 to 200 views, but gear reviews get 2,000. I know that's true, man. Like, I still remember I had been doing YouTube videos for a while, just like, the weekly video. I think at that point it was only weekly for me with the running, and then I would do a little bit of talking head and talk about some topic, whatever it might be. And I decided it was so awkward, but I thought, well, maybe I should do a review. And it was totally new, and it felt so awkward to be doing a review. But I pulled out my Ultra Olympus 4s, and I did a very brief 4 or 5 minute review of that shoe, and I was amazed. Like, overnight, I got like 4,000 views. I think it was something like that. And it was crazy. Like, I was like, wow, I really am missing the boat here when it comes to getting views on my channel. So that's when I started doing some shoe reviews. But, man, it was kind of hit or miss. Like, some were more successful than others. And, end of the day, that's not really what I want to do. I mean, I really want to do content about my training, share with others about my thought process, my planning, my races. I love filming my races. I really enjoy doing that. So gear reviews isn't exactly top priority, but I think it may be something I need to do for the health of my YouTube channel. So I hope I wouldn't lose people doing that though, Derek says, any recommendations on cold weather eye gear? Just get some ski goggles. This crazy Arctic blast last week made me realize I need something better than my regular sunglasses. Absolutely. Derek, I don't know if you saw my video, my last video I made. You probably did. The weather was insane. It was crazy for everybody, but, the wind chills on last Friday here in Ohio were like -25, -30. It was pretty crazy. And all I had were sunglasses, and, of course, they fogged up immediately because I was covering my mouth and my face, my nose with my balaclava that I have. But so, yeah, I was thinking I literally should have had my ski goggles, and I think I mentioned that in the video. But yeah, I mean, I think ski goggles might be the way to go, especially when you're talking about that kind of cold. So, that's what I would probably recommend. Thankfully for me here, I don't have to worry about that too much. Like today, it was so warm, I didn't even have to wear, I didn't need anything, really. It was cloudy too, so I didn't need sunglasses. Mountain Man says, yeah, running and racing is exactly what I want to do, but I think reviews for exposure, help for exposure, if you think about it that way. Yep. That's true. It does. I mean, and I do think my subscribers, I think my viewers do like to see what I'm interested in, see what I think about different gear and stuff like that. So I think that's useful. So we'll see what happens. Don't be surprised if you see more coming up from me. So, well, let's see. Derek says, exactly, dress and gear like you're going cross-country skiing. Yeah, that's what it felt like. So I think we're probably getting close to the end of the video tonight. If you have any other questions, definitely hit me up right now. Put in any comments you have below. That'd be great. This has been a lot of fun. I think I'll probably be doing more live streams in the future. So hopefully that's something that you would find interesting or useful, would be able to tune into. So I like doing them, like I said, and I can usually talk to myself for about an hour or so before I lose my voice. So Jacob says, he did put a comment in below. Let's see. You should review your running pack. I have the same one and would like your input. Oh, yeah, man. So are you talking about the Solomon? Yeah, this Solomon is awesome. I have a couple different one. I have two Solomons. I have a red one that's it's an older version, and then I have this really nice one. And I'm striking out on the name of it, but I love this thing. It's really, really nice. I would highly recommend it. Ooh, I ripped it too. I just noticed that there's a rip there. It's a great pack. It is not doesn't have a lot of volume, unfortunately. But if you're running a race, you don't really want to be weighed down too much. It worked great for me at the Wasatch 100. Really no complaints whatsoever. It's very light. The fabric is very breathable. It stayed very dry. It didn't get soaking wet and stayed wet. So yeah, I love this pack, and you're probably right. Actually, it's on my list for things potentially to review, so I'll have to do that. Let's see, Mountain Man. Yeah, running a race is exactly what I want to do, but I think review. Oh, we already did that. Thanks for doing this, Dan. Happy New Year. I can't wait to see what you do in 2023. Yeah, man, Mountain Man, thanks for stopping by. It was great. Well, that's probably a good point to stop here. So I hope you guys are doing well out there. I hope you're finding the motivation you need to find to get out and test yourself and really enjoy yourself as well. Because the bottom line is, if you don't like what you're doing, then you're probably doing the wrong thing. When it comes to your activities outside work, outside family, we only have so much time. So, I love running. I love racing. I love getting outside and being in nature. That's why I like the ultra running stuff so much. That's why I like trail running. And I hope you do too. And I hope that you can find your way into the sport and find out exactly what you want to do. I hope 2023 is a great year for you as well. So many different options, so many different things we can do, and so little time. It seems like it's coming up very, very quickly. So good luck to you and yours with planning those things out with you and your family. And definitely leave me comments below. And as I make more videos coming out in 2023, and as you see my progress through this journey, this adventure with the sport, with my plan for next year, don't hesitate to comment below. I'd love to hear what you're doing. That's really half the fun of this channel. So thanks, Seth. Onward and upward, man. Thanks for hanging out for so long. Appreciate that, man. So to all of you, your families, Happy New Year. I just wish each and every one of you the greatest blessings this year as you figure out what you're going to do and figure out your adventure and figure out how you're going to get through that and plan it and your training blocks and all of that. Just enjoy it. Life is short. I'll tell you one little story before I let you go. I've had several friends, and we're getting old enough now where, I've had several friends from high school, several acquaintances that sadly, they've had some health issues and their lives have, some people have passed away, and bottom line. And it just reminds me just how lucky I am to enjoy every single day and just to get out and run and enjoy my life. And that's really a blessing. And that's something that not everybody has, no question about it. So that's what I want to leave you with tonight, is just to make the most of every opportunity you have and just enjoy the sport that we love, and that's running. So, all right, have a great night. Thanks again for joining me. God bless you all, and we will talk to you in the next one.